DraftKings.com/VSiN.
Braves and Mets in Game 4 tonight. Kyle Wright getting the start for Atlanta. The Mets had not chosen a starter as of this morning. Atlanta plus 125 on the money line. New York minus 156. The over-under 8. NBA, the Eastern Conference Finals underway tonight. The Hawks at the Bucks. Atlanta a 7.5-point underdog. The over-under 226. Game 3 of the Western Conference Finals tomorrow. The Suns a 1-point favorite at the Clippers. Phoenix a 2-game lead in the series. After winning Game 5 8-0, the Lightning and Islanders will play Game 6 in New York tonight. Tampa Bay minus 150 on the money line on the road. The Islanders plus 130. The over-under 5.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And good morning and welcome into another brand new live edition of Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. We're going to be with you until 9 a.m. on what we can only say is a fantastic start to the day. What a Wednesday it is out there. Good morning, everyone. Safe travels wherever you may be headed on this Wednesday morning, as we inch just ever so much closer to the start of the football season. 63 days away from getting this thing cranked up. 70 days away, I believe. We're getting right around there. 63 days away from the start of the season. So it will not be too long. 71 days, I believe, until Alabama and Auburn kick their seasons off. So the start of the college football season fastly approaching. That also means the start of the high school football season, the start of the high school sports getting ready to gear back up. But before we play all that, we got to enjoy the summer, and that is exactly what we are doing. 256-576-4977. That's the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can weigh in on anything you want to on the show this morning. We have got a lot to get to. Great entertainment last night from the College World Series. The SEC goes 500 on the day, but the one win comes late, provides some cardiac moments for Mississippi State Bulldog fans, but nonetheless, Mississippi State does survive in Virginia. And had Mississippi State lost to Virginia last night, they don't. They get the win 6-5. But had they slipped up at the College World Series, could you say that so far the run in Omaha disappointing for the SEC? Tennessee 0-2. They are done. They fall yesterday to Texas in an elimination game, 8-4. So the Vols are done. They go 0-2. Vanderbilt has to fight their way through the losers bracket now. Still has a chance, but the road now is all uphill for the Commodores. Mississippi State was down 4-0 in the 8th inning last night before rallying to get a win over Virginia. Had Mississippi State slipped last night to Virginia, could we call the SEC's run in Omaha disappointing? And I think you have to say yes. I think you have to say yes. The run for the SEC in Omaha had so far disappointing. 256-576-4977. We'll talk more about that. The 12-team playoff format moving forward, but what is the timeline of when we may see it? Will it be 2023? Will it be 2026? That we do not know. The Atlanta Braves got by the Mets, and tensions in the Phillies and Nationals game And what happened in that game, we cannot continue to keep on seeing in Major League Baseball. Because if that is what we are going to see in Major League Baseball going forward, just stop playing. Because it's asinine if that's what we're going to see. And we'll explain all of that coming up a little bit later. But I was saying, Drew, is that had Mississippi State not come back last night to beat Virginia, that you could say that the SEC's run there in Omaha disappointing. Tennessee 0-2. Mississippi State would have been in the loser's bracket. Vanderbilt would have been in the loser's bracket. Yes, you got 3 teams in there, but I don't know. That run probably looks disappointing for the SEC so far had Mississippi State not come back and got the win.
Well, they did, and that's the bottom line. Virginia, for over 8 innings, was no-hitting Mississippi State. It looked bleak. Christian McLeod struggled. He was gone by the 2nd inning. But we talked about Mississippi State's pitching depth, and they used 8 pitchers last night, including their stud Landon Sims, to close the game and come back and win it 6-5. And we're going to talk to Robbie Faulk later in the show of Mississippi State 24/7 and find out could it be the biggest inning in Mississippi State baseball history if they can go on, reach the finals, and potentially win a national championship, because they're 1 win away now. A 6-run 8th, including a 3-run homer from Alabama native Faith Academy graduate Tanner Allen, who's the SEC Player of the Year off of the closer for Virginia. Just an unbelievable turn of events. A 2-run homer, a 3-run homer. And then it turned out to be, they batted around in the inning and a huge RBI single to make it 6-4, because Virginia added a home run in the next half inning in the bottom of the 8th. But Mississippi State was able to subdue the Cavs 6-5. And wow, and if you're Virginia, you got to be heartbroken, because it looked like you were ahead 4-0, and the 2 Cinderella stories from the ACC, 2-seed NC State, 3-seed Virginia, would have been in the catbird seat to maybe make an all-ACC final. But now Mississippi State, you heard Steve Robertson on here yesterday talking about their pitching staff and the depth, and now they have set an all-time record for strikeouts for a staff in college baseball in a single season. We're talking about a staff that's nearing 800 strikeouts, and if they do make a run to the finals and potentially win it all, the first in the history of the school, they will surpass 800 Ks. So this is just a monumental comeback win for Mississippi State and the SEC, and now they don't play again until Friday.
Did that save the SEC, though? Because, really, if you look at it, Tennessee goes 0-2, Vanderbilt's in the loser's bracket. Does that save the SEC last night a little bit?
A little bit, but they're still the best league in the country. It doesn't matter if you don't win at all. To me, you have to.
But the ACC had the ACC would have been poised
to have an
all final. So they could have laid claim to the fact that they were better.
Maybe in an alternate reality, which is still untrue, you could still say, because I don't think their league is as deep. I'm sorry, they don't, especially the SEC West. Okay, it's still the best league in America. Just because you don't win your league as a national championship, and the SEC still very much alive in that,
right?
That does not mean you're not the best league, because you have to watch it week in and week out, and without question, the SEC is the toughest. But the ACC, as Chris Lee said on our show yesterday, probably number 2, a solid number 2, and that, to me, that's what that validates. Even with Virginia losing, they obviously have a really good ball club and have gotten hot at the right time. But, it's so funny in the College World Series how things can turn on a dime. You can't sit there and be comfortable, I guess, unless you're up 7 or 8-0, and you're thinking, okay, I think we're all right. But it was 4-0. It really looked bleak. Even after the 2-run homer, you still felt like Virginia was in the catbird seat because they had their bullpen set up. But you got to give Mississippi State a ton of credit. This was not a fluke. They hit their way out of it.
They say it was the catch in the bottom of the 7th that ignited the rally.
Yeah.
That's where they felt like they had the confidence was the great catch that they made defensively in the bottom of the 7th that really ignited everything, that really kind of gave them that last, I guess you could say, momentum push to kind of finally get going at the plate.
Right. I mean, so you got to love the comeback for Chris Lemonis in Mississippi State. And now the other storyline you're watching is what is LSU going to do in baseball? Because teams are starting to get eliminated in Omaha, Scott. And so the cream of the crop, we're very, very soon going to be to the Final Four. And Scott Woodward is lurking at LSU. He wants to make a splash. We saw, unfortunately, for our good friend Vince Ferrara and the rest of the Tennessee baseball program, their journey comes to an end. They get off to a good start against Texas. They were up 2-0 early, but that didn't last. They lose that game 8-4 to go 0-2 barbecue and end just an unbelievable season in Tennessee baseball history with what they accomplished this year under Tony Vitello. So it's going to be interesting to see as he's finished year 4 for him on Rocky Top. Is LSU going to come hard for him now? Because there's been other candidates mentioned. We talked about Mike Bianco taking an extension at Ole Miss, so he's obviously not going to leave once again. What's going to happen? We haven't heard Cliff Godwin's name at East Carolina as prominently now because I think there's other candidates. And you heard Chris Lee yesterday saying he did not think Tim Corbin would be someone that would leave Vanderbilt for LSU. So the specter is kind of on Tony Vitello. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. That's going to be a really interesting and kind of fascinating situation because LSU's a ton of pressure, Scott, as you know, in college baseball, but they're going to pay over $1 million a year. And Jim Johnson, who's the head coach of Arizona, Chris brought him up. Dude's making $350K. And so LSU would at least double that, if not pay him $1 million a year. So we'll see. He's got taken Arizona to a couple of national titles. I thought that was a very interesting nugget because I did not realize he was paid that little from the standpoint of how good that program is at Arizona. That's really kind of on the low end. That would be in the low end in the SEC. So going to be interesting to see where LSU turns.
All right, so that's your college baseball talk. Plenty of action still going on there in Omaha. Action will continue today there at the College World Series. 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can get in on the show this morning if you have any kind of questions, any kind of things that you need to get off on your mind. And obviously yesterday, the big news still, and it's continuing on, but it's going to die down now between now and September. And that is the college football playoff talk of going to 12 teams. I guess you could say for the time being, it hit its crescendo yesterday. And now it'll go in front of all of the universities, the presidents, the chancellors, athletic directors, teams. There were 12 members that presented this and that heard the formality to go to a 12-team playoff yesterday in Dallas. From here, the timing, it's all going to be about timing. It's all going to be about where they go from here. And that is exactly what West Virginia President Gordon Gee said. The biggest question is timing. There's so many different contractual arrangements that they have to work through. I would say the chances of this being done in 2023 are slim. I would say maybe more like 2026 if I had a feeling of when these 12-team playoffs would actually go into effect because they've got TV contracts, bowl contracts, already sites set and determined for championship games and semifinal games, that it's probably going to be 2026 before this is all ironed out.
It wouldn't surprise me. Like I say, it's just the preliminary model. They still have to work out the stipulations and the conference tie-ins and how, what teams would be eligible, how that's going to work out. So it's created a ton of conversation because The whiners out there want it changed because there's not enough people involved because certain programs are dominating because they outwork you and kick your ass. But, that's just the way it is. People want, more access to the money. It'll be more money for certain schools and for the college football playoff if they expand. And I think everybody knew expansion was inevitable, that they would move on from the 4 model because basically it was 2 with the BCS, then it went to 4. So you knew it would probably be expanded because there was too many people bitching and things of that nature. So, and it'll happen. And within the next few seasons when they finally work it out. But you just brought up the key point of the whole thing, and it's TV contracts and red tape and things of that nature. But it's going to happen, probably going to be 12. Some of these, the Pac-12s of the world, the Big 12s, even though Oklahoma has been a participant certainly, and the Group of 5, they're going to get their wish to have a legit shot. Now, it'll be interesting to see if they can actually put their money where their mouth is and back it up and be good enough to get into the playoff. But that's the next step. But, yeah, it's going to happen, Scott. It's inevitable. I think we understand that. But you're right. It's going to be interesting to see.
That's the biggest question is when right now, because the Rose Bowl, Sugar Bowl, and Orange Bowl all have separate TV contracts. Mm-hmm. Indianapolis, Los Angeles, and Houston are set to host the next National 3 championship games. Those are already locked in, so you can't change those. Right. And they also say that the NFL expanding to 17 games, and their playoffs tie up some of the venues for potential college football games.
Red tape you have to work
So there is so much red tape to go through that's why I say they're going to convene in September to make this to generate more conversation.
Right.
But between now and September, really, we've hit the crescendo point of the college football playoff discussion. September, it'll pick back up again, but it will not probably go through. We probably won't see this until 2026. I think everybody thought because of the momentum and the steam and everything that we were talking about it, that 2023 was going to be when it would happen. More likely it's not. It's going to be the end of this current deal, which is 2026.
If you've heard Bill Hancock and he's been on this station several times with The Drive with Steve Moulton and Wes Neighbors, he's basically alluded to that. He knew change was coming as well, Scott, but he also basically warned people that it's going to be the mid 2020s and I'm sure he was referring to the TV contracts, and so you're just going to have to wait a little bit, and see some of these schools. Now they're getting their way because it's been discussed ad nauseum. It's the biggest topic in college football now because we don't have fall camp to talk about, and I can't wait till we do because I'm already tired of it. But that's just until fall camp starts, in the beginning of August, it's going to be talked about constantly. People, but that's just the way it is right now, and with the lack of headlines, because if you're making other headlines, and unfortunately we had to delve into some of the Tennessee ones yesterday,
right?
It's usually because of an off-field issue that you don't really want to see going public, and you hate to see that.
Well, usually when we get close to SEC Media Days, which are coming up in about a month,
right?
There's always a headline that comes out around SEC Media Days that kind of takes center stage. We always get that one, whether it be a coach, whether it be a player, whether it be something. We always get a headline that comes out around SEC Media Days. There have been so many fantastic, from our vantage point, headlines to gloss over on SEC Media Days, and you wonder if there'll be another bigger one, not bigger one, but if you wonder there'll be another headline that comes around in the next 30 days that'll kind of take center stage from SEC Media Days, or will this be the center of conversation, especially when Greg Sankey gives up and gives his State of the State address?
Yeah, State of the SEC.
Will this be the center of conversation? This and name, image, and likeness. Will this be the two conversations that dominate SEC Media Days in less than 30 days?
Well, and to be honest with you, the playoff expansion, and if it's not going to be, in the very near future, I don't know why it would dominate, because you need to be talking about the teams and who's in contention this year. Can Alabama repeat? If not, who can knock them off? You need to be talking about that instead of something that maybe several years down the road. Now, you're going to – and again, we gave you all the preliminary 12-team playoff, and, they have the proposal that they put out, which is not permanent. We've already had people saying, okay, this would have been the playoff field last year, things of that nature.
Yep.
But there's only so many times you can talk about that. So, to me, the focus needs to be on the 2021 season coming up and then, go from there. And that's what we hope to focus on at SEC Media Days in Hoover. And as you said, rapidly approaching in about a month in late July.
All right, 256-576-4977. That is your number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can get in on the show this morning. Let's get out to Spencer real fast before the break. Let's get to Spencer this morning. Good morning, Spencer.
Hey, good morning, Scott. Good morning, Drew. Yeah, I agree with you here, Drew, but I want to say this, man. Let's talk a little bit something other than the college football playoff. Let's talk about how bad Alabama's linebacking core was last year and how good they're supposed to be this year. How is Toa fitting in summer workouts? What are you hearing?
Well, I think he's doing well. I think the top three guys are who you would expect. It's Christian Harris, who had a good year last year until he got injured against Arkansas. Jalen Moody came in his stead, played very good football, and, of course, he is another one of those guys that's competing. Henry To'oTo'o also with those guys. So those are going to be your top three. They're going to fight it out. I still expect To'oTo'o to ultimately win that job and be the signal caller. Of course, he hasn't been on campus that long, so you have to understand he's still settling in with his new teammates. Got to prove himself. You got to go earn it. But To'oTo'o has excellent talent.
Let me ask you this, Drew. Was last year the first year under Nick Saban that we have not had a linebacker drafted?
The only reason that didn't happen is because two of them were Chris Allen could have come out, but he did not. He would have probably been a mid-round pick. I would say probably around 4th or 5th round, even though I thought he had a breakout year. If he has another year, if he builds on that, I think he's a guy that could go in the first 3 rounds after his senior season. And he was a really, really good, solid football player last year. I thought Will Anderson kind of overshadowed him as a true freshman. But, again, that's another reason why they didn't have someone drafted, because Will Anderson was the master returning. You had Harris, who wasn't draft eligible. The only one that was Dylan Moses. His year was disappointing, and a lot of that had to do with injuries and coming back from that, and then sliding over to Mike, which I don't think he was ever that comfortable after being a really good Will 2 years before. But really, the reason they didn't have someone drafted last year was mostly due to injury, and the other 3 guys, one choosing to return to school and the other 2 not being draft eligible.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Christian Harris is absolutely fantastic, man. I'm excited to see what he does this year, for sure. But is this the year, man? Is this the year where we have that dominant defense again, or is it gone so offensive focused? In college football, we're so focused on scoring points as quick and as fast as possible. Is Bryce Young going to be able to do that, or are we going to be the team that leans heavy on our defense this year?
Well, I still think the offense is going to be really, really good. I think you have inexperience, but it's talented, and I think they will get better as the year goes on. But certainly, I think the defense is going to lead the way early when you open against a team like Miami, who's going to be a top 15 team in the country under Manny Diaz. And we don't know the availability of De'Aaron King, the quarterback who had such an impact, the transfer from Houston. Missed the end of last year with an ACL. You hope he's back for their sake for the Alabama game, because if he's not, it's going to be a tough hill to climb. It's going to be tough anyway, because I think Alabama's 3 or 4 touchdowns better still than Miami, in my opinion. But I do think this defense on paper, Spencer, is the best in college football. Now, you have to go out and earn it and play like it. Certainly, they bring their coaching staff back intact, which is huge, I think, on the defensive side of the ball, except for the new addition of Jay Valai, who's getting outstanding feedback, and you're hearing great buzz about him taking over as corners coach for Carl Scott. But I think Alabama overall has a chance to be a very good defense. Now, you bring up an interesting point about dominant, because you even heard Nick Saban say this. Dominant defense has kind of changed that definition. You have to be disruptive. You have to force turnovers, and you have to score sometimes for your offense, because, again, you're going to give up points with everybody throwing the ball around. The days of 2011 when Alabama gave up 6 to 8 points per game and was just suffocating or over. It's more defined by holding your opponent to 14 to 17 points and then having your offense, as you just brought up, be explosive. And, Nick Saban, when he first got here, Alabama was playing a lot of wide ball, a lot of tight formations, running the ball, play action, game manager at quarterback, and throwing the ball vertically down the field after establishing the run. You're averaging around 35 points per game. Now, as you've seen, in the last 4 or 5 years, really now it's 6 or 7 because of 2014, how the years continue to go by so quickly. But they're averaging 45, 48 points per game, and you have to score now in college football because it's just very, very difficult to win those 21-14 kind of games, or even a 21-10, even a 14-7 type game. Those just don't happen anymore.
Right. So one more question, Drew, and then I'll let y'all go to break, man. So I've been hearing rumors that this incoming freshman quarterback is the fastest kid on the team. Is that true? And if so, are they going to have some packages for him?
Well, I mean, potentially. I saw a picture of him last night. He looks like he's really been hitting the weights hard. You got to give David Ballou and Dr. Matt Ray a lot of credit. He's, it looks like a full 6'2".
Who's this?
Really well put together. This is Jalen Milroe, from Katy, Texas, and he certainly made an impression last year before missing the A-Day game due to COVID considerations. But he's definitely a weapon. From what we hear, he is among the top 3 to 4 fastest players on the team. It's hard to say who the fastest is. And now Jamison Williams will have something to say about that. We're hearing some good things about how he's looked in workouts, the transfer from Ohio State. So. But certainly he has that potential to be a good enough athlete. I think you remember, Spencer, when Kenyon Drake got on campus, he was so good that they got him into games as well because he was such an explosive athlete. So Jalen Milroe, the same kind. He's still raw as a quarterback, needing to develop, but certainly he's someone to watch because he has an arm, he can run, and they could do some interesting Cordell Stewart-type things with him offensively. It will be interesting to see the progress he makes first as a quarterback, and then do they try to get his multi-talented skill set on the field under offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien.
Good stuff, man. Thanks. Y'all have a good morning.
Thank you, Spencer.
Let's get our first break in. When we come back, Major League Baseball has a big problem, and it boiled over last night all over the place. We'll explain.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Still looking okay this morning. Traffic continuing to roll along in great shape. You be careful on your trip in. Put some extra room in there so you got somewhere to go if something does go wrong around you. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist. Captain Eck in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Braves baseball is celebrating 150 years, and this 2021 team is looking to kick down the door and make this season one for the history books.
Swing and a fly ball hit deep toward their bullpen. Are you kidding me? Another pinch hit homer.
Your new home of the Atlanta Braves.
Hit high in the air to deep right center field. We are tied!
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
Guys, when we were 20, we never had to worry about spontaneity. And now that we've gotten older, spontaneity has been replaced with pills and injections. We're just trying to keep that intimacy, but it's taken away from spontaneity. At Advanced Life Clinic, we now offer GainsWave, which uses sound waves to non-invasively treat this issue with no need for pills or injections. Just give us a call, 256-888-9367, or check us out online, advancedlifeclinic.com.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
Tom Luganbill here for Woody Anderson Ford. When I was in the Tennessee Valley, one of the things that impressed me the most was the quality of the people. People like Bobby White and his team at Woody Anderson Ford. And now you can experience the tremendous new service lanes and showroom at Woody Anderson Ford, at Jordan and Sparkman, or just stop by for breakfast or lunch at Henry's Mustang Cafe. And in Madison, visit Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, just south of 72. Like a great college football tradition, always there, Woody Anderson Ford.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer here. I hope all of you are well. These are trying times we're experiencing right now, and I want you to know that we at Baumhauer's are committed more than ever to providing a legendary dining experience to everyone. Everyone is important to us, and everyone is welcome. Please allow us to serve you in a way that makes you feel safe, appreciated, welcome, and special. Because we're all special in the eyes of the ones and the one that counts. God bless.
This is Paul Feinbaum. Listen to me coming up today at 2. Now back to Talking Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, 7:32 on this Wednesday morning. We've made it to the halfway point of the work week. 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. And you can get in on the show this morning.
And Scott, before we talk about what we're seeing on our TV screen up here, and you're right, it's lunacy in Major League Baseball. I wanted to really quickly just give a shout out right here. I'm wearing a special shirt. It's No Fear, Sails Up, and of course the No Fear has AR on the end of it. And I've done this before, but it's basically to support the battle of trying to find a cure for epilepsy. Anderson Reese, a young man who is extremely tough as nails, great young baseball player, the son of two good friends of mine, one a prominent Huntsville High graduate. She was one of the best athletes in the history of their volleyball program, and my good friend David Reese, who has done some broadcasting for us and, of course, been a part of this station in the past. He is a young man who's battling epilepsy, but we're supporting that. We're raising money for that. And we were selling these shirts, and we've been selling them, and I was able to help them out with that, and I love to be a part of it. And he's a tough young man there. He plays the Sails Up is, of course, he plays for the Bucks, a travel baseball team in the summer, does very, very well. But we wanted to pay homage to him and all those that are affected by that disorder, and we hope that medical progress can continue to be made where they find a cure, but certainly they've been raising money in his name and, of course, for others, and we wanted to pay respect to him this morning on Talkin' Ball. Anderson Reese, great young talent, future Madison Academy Mustang, so be on the lookout for him.
All right, good stuff there. And if you want information, give us a call this morning, 256-576-4977. And, okay, we talked about this a little bit on the show because it was one of those things. We put it in the headlines. Major League Baseball umpires are going to start checking pitchers for foreign substances. Okay, didn't think it was going to amount to much. Well, yesterday.
And we were joking about Joe Niekro.
Yeah, all that fun stuff. Well, yesterday it hit a boiling point in not one game, but 2 games last night. Okay, in 2 games in Major League Baseball. And one of them happened to be in the NL East, and the other one happened to be in the AL West. The Philadelphia Phillies and the Washington Nationals playing a little baseball last night. When in the inning, Max Scherzer is on the mound for the Nationals, gets a strikeout.
Yeah.
Okay? Phillies manager Joe Girardi, boom, we need a check. In the middle of the inning, the umpires come out and check out Max Scherzer. Now, Scherzer is like, you can't believe, you seriously? Takes his hat, flips it down to the ground. I mean, he is like.
He ran his hand through his hair.
He did everything. I mean, it was like, he's like, you have got to be kidding me.
And I gotta give a lot of credit to Dave Martinez too, the manager of the Nationals.
Yeah,
he was absolutely livid with this, and he called Joe Girardi out of the dugout. I would have too.
Well, here is how it sounded on MASN last night in the 4th inning.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to check Max here in the middle of an inning.
Oh, anything to try to throw somebody off their game, and Davey rightfully coming out to protect his guy to see what's going on here.
Hey, what did they expect? Mac drops his hat, and Carlos Torres is going to get mad at him? This is in the middle of an inning after you struck a guy out. And it was initiated by the other manager. If I'm Davey, I'm not standing for this at all. And now Girardi's going to come out and become a bigger part of it.
Well, I love how Davey's coming out to protect his guy here. Girardi trying to find anything to get Max off his game, but honestly, I think it's only going to fire him up more and going to make him better.
They didn't find anything.
Of course not.
But then, later in the night, you got to go out west, the Oakland A's, okay, Sergio Romo, it just gets done with a 1-run. He gives up 1 run in the 7th inning or whatever. He's having a great game. The umpires stop him on the way back to the dugout because they want to inspect Sergio Romo. Sergio Romo takes off his belt, drops his pants.
Oh.
He is in disgust. He's like, seriously. He ones up Max Scherzer.
Well, you ask. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
But he was in disgust. He threw his hat on the ground at Sergio Romo, takes his belt off, drops his pants on the. Major League Baseball has got a big problem right now with this.
Well,
in the
it's
middle
way it's
of the
being
season,
done.
you start doing this.
Well, and it's being done as gamesmanship, which is just stupid. Especially they ought to at least pass something where you can't do it in the middle of a freaking inning when you're in the middle of pitching to a hitter, and then all of a sudden Joe Girardi, who I know you're a fan of, I've always been an admirer of him as well. He's a good manager, but I mean, I thought that was a Bush League move last night. I would have called him out too, and probably had some choice words for him. We might have gone nose to nose a little bit. You know, I can't help
Joe Girardi then tried calling out Max Scherzer from the dugout, wanted to basically fight Max Scherzer last night. I mean,
he was also, I think because I think Davey Martinez was probably gesturing toward him too, which, I mean, I would have called him out and said, come on out here. What's your problem? What are you accusing him of? Can't help it. He was better than you.
Here's
better.
Davey Martinez calling out Joe Girardi.
Like I said, we kept our composure, and we came victorious. So, and the bottom line, that's what we're here to do. So, hey, there was no sticky stuff. Let's just say that. The umpires checked. Everything was good. So, like I said, Joe, I think Joe's got to answer the tough questions tonight.
Anyway, it baffles me, and Major League Baseball just puts this out there. And now pitchers, I mean, it's something. Pitchers are coming off the inning in the middle of innings.
Playoffs, man. That's going to
be
something.
Wait till the World Series or whatever, and somebody's having a fantastic game, and someone just be like, I want you to inspect him in the middle of the World Series.
Yeah.
Reminds me of something that we would have seen in like Naked Gun back in the day. Remember those Naked Gun movies where they come out and inspect
Thank goodness they can't do it for like Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker. People be stopping them every start trying to check for stuff.
I don't know. 256-576-4977. Do you agree Major League Baseball has a big problem when it comes to inspecting pitchers in the middle of the inning or after an inning, or should these pitchers just be like, okay, I mean, should they be more cooperative or not? Or are they within their rights right now to act like they are, whereas they're dropping their pants and throwing clothes off in the middle of an inning. 256-576-4977. You can get in on that conversation here this morning. But let's get our last break into the hour. When we come back, the Atlanta Braves, speaking of positives with baseball, the Atlanta Braves do great things last night against the New York Mets. We'll hear from Brian Snitker. We'll break the Braves down and look ahead to that as well as we get to your phone calls to wrap up hour number 1.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Still looking okay this morning. Traffic continuing to roll along in great shape. You be careful on your trip in. Put some extra room in there so you got somewhere to go if something does go wrong around you. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Listen to the Tom Abraham Show.
And he loves fishing.
The average shift is 52 seconds. If you get into a minute 10, minute 12, your legs are burning because they get out there and they go like hell. You're talking about skating and doing the other, the stick handling and everything else, but your legs just are on fire because you go so hard.
As they say in hockey, let's do that hockey. I miss the Knicks.
Listen to the Big Dog, weekdays from 10 to noon on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
You know it and I know it. Sometimes a brand new car or truck just isn't in the budget. That's where we come in. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and I want to talk to you about the advantages of buying a Ford Gold certified used car or truck. These are low-mileage, gently used vehicles with great warranties, a 12-month, 12,000-mile comprehensive limited warranty, and a 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Woody Anderson Ford Gold certified vehicles have passed a 172-point inspection by certified technicians and come with a 24-hour roadside assistance too. You'll also get a Carfax vehicle history report and 22,000 Ford Pass reward points to use for future scheduled maintenance or other accessories. Plus, before you leave in your Gold certified used car, we'll be sure to give you a full tank of gas and a fresh oil change, even new wiper blades. Gold certified vehicles at Woody Anderson Ford. Hope to see you soon.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
At Bryant Bank, we believe your goals are worth chasing, and every step along the way is worth celebrating. From your hopes for the future to the challenges that keep you up at night, we're here for you. Bryant bankers put care into action to help you live legendary by stepping up when you need us most and doing what's right, even when no one is watching. Come experience a local bank whose people greet you by name and treat you like family. Bryant Bank, member FDIC.
Listen to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Weekday afternoons starting at 5 on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, 7:43. Welcome back to Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. 256-576-4977. The Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline is there for you on this Wednesday morning. And as we come out of break, Drew, that is where we pivot to, is the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Jeff from the Borough with us to come out of the break with us. Good morning, Jeff.
Morning, Jeff.
How's it going, guys?
Good.
Did Girardi get kicked out last night? That's what I heard.
Yeah, he did. Oh, yeah, he got kicked out.
That's what I thought. I heard he got kicked out. But I don't have no problem with it. I know I was watching one of the Cubs broadcasts one night, and they said the Cubs wouldn't have no problem. So, I mean, some of their pitchers don't need help. Some of them do. So, Hendricks and Mills, some of them don't need no help. But some of them, like Arietta, he needs some help. He needs some forward stuff to get people out. So, but, I don't have no problem with it. I mean, what do you want to do? Wait till the end of the season to do it? Or you want to do it next year? What do you want to do, Scott?
Well, no, I'm just saying that, I agree with Drew, you can't do it in the middle of an inning. You can't, I mean, you can't, I guess you do it after the inning or whatever. I mean, that's going to be the best solution. Yeah, but you can't do it like they did last night in the Phillies-Nationals game and stop the play. I mean, people are already, Major League Baseball is contradicting themselves. One, they want the speed of the play to be faster of these games. They want the games to be shorter and everything. But then now you're going to allow a manager to have an umpire go out and check a pitcher during an inning.
But if a manager has a question, though, he shouldn't question anything. He's got
you can question it just before or after the half inning.
Question.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's the best thing to do, I guess. But
so, I mean, just think about this, Jeff, though. Game 7 of the World Series, it's a tied game, bases are loaded or whatever, and it's got all this momentum and everything, and a manager from the dugout says, I want that pitcher inspected. Not because he's got fear of something using, but just because it's gamesmanship.
Gotcha.
It's called breaking momentum.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not right. We can't do that. You can't do that.
Well, I mean, that's what it's called, breaking momentum. That's the sports. When the momentum's on one side, you don't try to break it and get it yourself. So that's just what. But I did want to ask you guys about John Rahm. So should the PGA get some of that money back that he won a U.S. Open from, or should you say, well, you get that vaccine, else you don't have that trophy? How about that? On Rahm, he had that virus, or I guess he got over that virus real quick, didn't he? Got over that virus real fast.
Well, the thing was he was asymptomatic to begin with, and so all he had to do was kind of like Nick Saban coming back to coaching a game. All he had to do was produce 3 tests or whatever within a certain time frame, and he was fine, and that's exactly what he did. I feel bad for John Rahm. I mean, I feel bad. His family flew in from Spain before. They were en route before he was taken off that golf course, and when he got there, his parents hadn't got to see their newborn yet. And they were on their way that weekend to see him, and because of the positive test, they weren't allowed to come over to the house and see their new grandchild. So, I mean, I feel bad for him, and yes, he got over it pretty fast.
Yeah. Well, he won the U.S. Open. So, but I want to ask you, Drew, are you surprised? How about them Wolfpack?
Yeah, they've been an unbelievable story.
Pretty good against a lot of 15 strikeouts, but wasn't good enough, was it?
No, it wasn't. I mean, NC State's the hottest team in the country, and then that regional Alabama was in with Louisiana Tech ended up being pretty good because I thought NC State looked pretty potent, as good as any team I'd seen, and going to Arkansas and winning Game 3 after losing 22-1 basically in the first game of that Super. I mean, or 21-2, I should say. Pardon me. But man, I mean, to rally, win 2 straight on the road in that environment, and then to be 2-0 right now in the catbird seat, they got healthy and hot at the right time. They're as good as any team in the country right now under Elliott Avent. So it's been quite a run for NC State, no question about that.
Yeah, I was going to tell you one thing. Did y'all know Arkansas after that first Super Regional game started printing up shirts?
I'm sure
Omaha
they did.
And all this stuff. They started printing up shirts, Omaha bound and all that. That's why you don't do that. That's why they're in some third world country now, so wearing it. So that's why you don't do that premature. But it's going to be interesting. I was surprised Mississippi State came back last night. I thought Virginia had it won after 7 innings, but they just, Mississippi State right out. You got to the credit. I don't know what Vanderbilt's going to do not for Stanford because they've already used their big two. So I think they're going to throw that 17-year-old tonight.
Christian Little, yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what happens on that. But they can compare. They can compare SAT scores though. They can compare that. Maybe I'd give Vandy an edge for the first pitch. So, but y'all hang in there. See you.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, speaking of ACT scores too, what a 34 by Sam Cervic, the son of Danny Cervic, point guard from Randolph. They were over there at the Big Red Summer Jam, and of course, Coach Mike Morris over there doing a great job building that program. Got a good friend whose son's a part of Randolph basketball, going to be a big part of it, and golf. Wilson Schmidt's outstanding young golfer who's going to end up being a future Randolph Raider on their high school golf team, but probably within the next couple of years, really, with as advanced as this game is. But 34 ACT, free education for that young man coming up.
Yeah, 34 on an ACT. That'll get you pretty much about anywhere you want to go. Doesn't matter. It wasn't a lot of runs last night, and 3, in fact. But it was enough for the Atlanta Braves. Charlie Morton, he struck out 11 in 7 innings of one-hit ball. 100th major league win. He has 54 wins since the start of the 2017 season, which he ended by getting the final 12 outs in the Houston Astros World Series clinching victory over the Dodgers. Drew 109, or his 100th win, 19th active pitcher to reach it. 13 years, 8 days after getting his first one with the Braves. He had stints with Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Houston, and Tampa Bay.
Yeah, big win for Morton. And now Kyle Wright from our community has been called back up, Scott, and he has a chance against a Mets starter that's unnamed as of right now. I don't think the Mets have named their starter for today. But the Braves have a chance to take 3 out of 4 from the first-place Mets. And now our good resourceful producer Chad Gwathney says Tyler Megal, is that correct? So a young pitcher for the Mets going to take the mound, but the Braves with a great chance to take 3 out of 4 from the hated New York Mets and get right back in this division race, which has kind of been wadded up so much. But the Braves starting to show signs of life, Scott, which is very encouraging.
Yeah, as far as Megal goes, trying to look, and he's basically, it's going to be his first major league start. He's got 2 starts this year in the minors, both with 1 in Double-A, and, actually, he has 3 starts this year, both coming in Triple-A. He has not started, he's pitched in, he's pitched in Triple-A this year, but his both starts this year have come in Double-A baseball. So,
he's young.
He is very young, and he's 25 years of age. And last night, Charlie Morton, not 25 years of age, delivered a gem, and his manager afterwards.
it was pretty good last time, too. I start thinking back. It was like a swinging bunt off a pinch hit pitcher. Yeah. The only hit he gave up. His stuff was really good at getting that breaking ball. It was huge again, coming off the doubleheader to give us 7 innings. That's especially after his last start, how long he went, and to follow it up right now. That's just awesome. And it's his 100th win, which is really, really cool for him.
That was Brian Snitker on Charlie Morton getting his 100th win last night. So the Atlanta Braves still, they're coming back. If you look at the standings, they've now moved into second place there in the NL East. They are just 4 games behind the New York Mets. They have the same winning percentage as the Philadelphia Phillies. So both the Phillies and the Braves are 4 games back, along with the Nationals, who are 4 games back in the division. So that NL East race right now, we mentioned this would be a pivotal series for the Braves. Indeed, it has been. They're keeping themselves in it. And if they can get that win tonight, they'll inch 1 game closer to the 500 mark yet again this season. We've seen them at 500 mark, just have not been over the 500 mark.
Yeah, it would be huge for Atlanta to continue to push forward. Brian Snitker has been talking about them needing to be more consistent. and to put together, a good stretch. They seem to be doing that here. They took 3 out of 4 from St. Louis. They're trying to take 3 out of 4 from the Mets, and this would be significant. And this is a big opportunity for Kyle Wright. We've seen Max Fried. I believe he's going on the injured list again, Scott. He's banged up. So Kyle has been biding his time, trying to continue to develop and evolve his game in AAA. And he's getting another opportunity to pitch in a big game against the first place ball club and impress the Braves brass. So hopefully, and I know John Smoltz is extremely high still on Kyle Wright, that he's going to pitch well tonight and get a big win.
All right, 256-576-4977. Time for you to get in on the show this morning in hour number 1, because we will kick off hour number 2 with our first interview of the morning. We talked a little bit about this yesterday, and that is Aaron Suttles from The Athletic had a chance to sit down with Greg Byrne, Alabama Athletics Director, and got to talking about all kinds of good stuff. Talking about the shortfalls financially during the pandemic, the Nick Saban contract extension, really got into some good conversations there with Greg Byrne, and we're going to kind of go over with all of that with Andy Staples here, or with Aaron Suttles. My bad, I had Andy Staples on the mind for some odd reason. Aaron Suttles, we'll go over that here to kick off hour number 2.
Absolutely, Aaron Suttles, one of the best beat writers there is, such an eloquent guy with the written word. Also someone that's been prominent on our radio waves here in the state of Alabama for a few years. Just someone that's a great source and that has all outstanding opinions, great insight into the University of Alabama. And as you said, had a great sit-down conversation with Greg Byrne. We want to talk about that. We want to talk about some of his takes on the University of Alabama heading into Nick Saban's 15th season. He does an amazing job. He was a big part of this show for a couple of years, and we've been able to feature him intermittently and it's going to be great to catch up with Aaron for the first time this summer and get his thoughts and his insight into where Alabama is as an athletic department here in a few minutes.
All right, guys, that is hour number 1 in the books. Hour number 2 will kick off with Aaron Suttles' conversation coming up next on Talking Ball. 61 degrees as we get your day started on this Wednesday.
Nothing beats a great burger to help celebrate the 4th of July, and at Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, we couldn't agree more. And if you haven't tried our chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness, then now is your chance to sink your teeth into one of Bad Daddy's award-winning burgers for half price. Our Zone deal this week gets you $50 worth of delicious burgers made with premium Angus beef for just $25. Log on 977ESPN.com beginning Friday morning and get your Bad Daddy's Zone deal before they're gone.
With an impressive roster of explosive young superstars and the reigning MVP, the Atlanta Braves are showing the East what they're made of.
1-1 on the way. He connected. It's a high fly ball to deep right field, way back towards the seats, and this ball is gone!
Tonight, Freddie Freeman and your Atlanta Braves wrap up their trip to New York as they look for a big division win against the New York Mets at Citi Field. Braves Radio goes on the air at 5:55 Eastern, 4:55 Central on the Braves Radio Network.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got an injury rank with a motorcycle involved. This one's on Redstone Road right at the Arsenal Gate. And we got one on 72 at Balch Road. Sounds like that one's causing problems for traffic in all directions there. Haven't heard of an update as far as an injury on that wreck. Snelling has immediate need for experienced retail sales associates. These are direct hire positions with solid benefits. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the WZDX Pinpoint Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A beautiful Wednesday afternoon across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Plenty of sunshine, a few fair weather cumulus clouds, but that's about it. Temperatures, however, are going to be well below where we should be this time of year. We should be consistently climbing into the upper 80s and lower 90s. We're going to be nowhere near that. We're going to finish the day in the lower 80s, dropping into the low and mid 60s as we head into the overnight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. This action update is brought to you by Keeps. Tired of losing your hair? Get 50% off for your first order at keeps.com/vsin. Keeps.com/vsin.
NBA, the Eastern Conference Finals underway tonight. The Hawks at the Bucks. Atlanta a 7.5-point underdog. The over/under 226. Game 3 of the Western Conference Finals tomorrow. The Suns a 1-point favorite at the Clippers. Phoenix a 2-game lead in the series. After winning Game 5 8-0, the Lightning and Islanders will play Game 6 in New York tonight. Tampa Bay -150 on the money line on the road. The Islanders +130. The over/under 5. Braves and Mets in Game 4 tonight. Kyle Wright getting the start for Atlanta. The Mets had not chosen a starter as of this morning. Atlanta +125 on the money line. New York -156. The over/under 8.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
It is hour number 2 of Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. I want to invite you to head to 977ESPN.com. That is our website. Up in the upper left-hand corner, click on Zone Deals. That is where you can get the best half-off deals throughout the Tennessee Valley. Right now, $50 worth of food for $25 to the Hummus and Pita Company. And then coming up on Friday, you can get the same deal, $50 worth of food for $25 to Bad Daddy's Burger Bar. Both are located right next to each other. So go ahead and spend $50, get yourself some Hummus and Pita Company, and then get yourself some Bad Daddy's Burger Bar. We mentioned going to break that we were going to visit with Aaron Suttles, and he had a fantastic article in The Athletic. Sit-down interview with Greg Byrne. Just some interesting conversations there about the budget shortfalls of COVID, to Nick Saban's contract extension, to his thoughts on the playoffs, name, image, and likeness. Some great answers, some great conversation there from Greg Byrne.
He did, and he also wrote an outstanding article about why Alabama's success is not bad for college football. He does an outstanding job for The Athletic. He's also been featured on local radio airwaves prominently as well. Great opinions and great insight, and it's our honor to catch up with him for the first time in a while, as he's been good enough to join us this morning on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Aaron, you're with Drew and Scott this morning in Huntsville. It's great to catch up, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. Great to be back on in Huntsville.
Yes, it really is. And I guess, first of all, give us some insight into that article about Alabama being their success not being bad for the sport of college football. I thought you made some outstanding salient points in the piece because Scott and I have kind of been discussing this. A lot of people talking about the college football playoff expansion, not happy with Alabama's domination, and yet you bring up some interesting points about teams that I've even commented on as well that have been very successful, and yet they don't receive the same criticism as Nick Saban in Alabama.
It's bizarre that the conversation tends to revolve around Alabama. And I get it, because Alabama wins a lot of national championships. But when you look at the total domination of a sport, Oklahoma is far more dominant in the Big 12 than Alabama is in the SEC. Ohio State is more dominant in the Big 10 than Alabama is in the SEC. But we don't hear is Oklahoma bad for college football? Listen, it's weird that sports is one of really the only areas that this applies. When you're a success in business and life, you're celebrated. You get put on the cover of Forbes magazine. People try to emulate your success. It's a good thing that you're successful. In sports, we start having conversations about is a monopoly bad for college football? And it's not really even a monopoly. Alabama's had a lot of success. I think it's an absurd argument to be had. Greatness should be celebrated in any area of life. We should want to be great. We should strive for greatness. Alabama's just been great for too long for so many people that now that we're having this conversation that I'm having to write an article about, is Alabama bad for college football? Of course it's not bad for college football. We'll be talking about this period of Alabama football for the rest of our lives. That's a good thing.
Yeah. You know what? We were talking about Florida State and Bobby Bowden forever being ranked inside the top 10 and how great it was, for how great a run they had. And to just think about what we will be writing 10 years from now about this Alabama run, presumably if it's over, will go down in the history books of college football forever. I think it's funny, though. I think it was just a way for people to open up the dialogue about expanding the playoffs. It gave them an easy way to expand the college football playoffs by just throwing Alabama's name in there.
Yeah, and I get it. Access is the argument. We want access for more teams. I do get that. I do think, my opinion, I think it takes away from what makes college football unique and great, and I think it takes away a little bit from the regular season. Not everyone agrees with me on that, but that's fine. I think it is a good thing that more teams are involved late in the season. But I also think it's a little bit of a cop-out. Like, listen, get better. If you want to beat Alabama, if you want to beat Clemson, if you want to beat Ohio State, get better. Don't allow Alabama to come into your state and take Bryce Young, a 5-star quarterback who's in USC's backyard. Don't allow them to go get Jalen Hurts out of Texas or Tua Tagovailoa out of Hawaii or, any other of these 5-star players out of Alabama. It's your fault. Be better. Like, don't just don't change the rules because you can't compete. It's not Clemson's fault that Florida State fell on its face. It's not Alabama's fault that Texas and USC and Michigan and Penn State aren't the programs that they used to be. You just get better, and that's part of my opinion on that is that we're trying to make it easier for teams. Listen, all you're doing at the end of the day is, guess what? A 12-team playoff. Alabama would have made a 12-team playoff in 2019. So even on years when Alabama maybe is having a quote-unquote down year, they're probably still going to make the playoffs. So you're not getting rid of Alabama. You're not getting rid of Clemson or Ohio State. You're actually making it easier for them to get into the playoffs.
Well, and we're talking to Aaron Suttles of The Athletic, doing an outstanding job covering the University of Alabama, giving us his opinions now on the college football playoff and the University of Alabama. There's no question about it that I think some of it is absurd. Some of the criticism that Alabama gets, and really the SEC as a whole, because they spend more money. It's more important to them, in my opinion, to be good in college football. I agree with you. They need to get better. There's no question about that. But overall, to me, I don't see this new college football playoff, whenever it goes into existence, being something like the NCAA basketball tournament where you have a Cinderella like an 83 NC State or an 85 Villanova winning it all, and nearly a Butler doing it twice. I still think the top 4 seeds, when it's all said and done, are going to win this 99% of the time and going to dominate. I think football is different than college basketball per se, with a one-shot deal. What is your take on that?
I agree. I think football is set up differently because it's such a physical sport, and because there's so many games that it would be very difficult for a Cinderella team to win it. I think a Cinderella team can have an upset or two, possibly. I think what you're doing here, and this is what the powers that be are going to have to struggle with, if you're going to continue to have a 12-game regular season, and then in the SEC on top of that, add a conference championship game, and then potentially 4 playoff games. I mean, you're looking at, 17 games. All you're doing is putting exposure to risk to more players because they're playing more competitive games. They're playing, the season gets longer. So I think the chance of a season being determined by a key injury goes way up. We saw last year Alabama lost one of the heartbeats of their offense in the SEC championship game in Landon Dickerson.
Yeah,
and that could have been disastrous for Alabama. You can because of you're extending the season. I think the chance of injuries go up. Like not entirely what we're seeing with the NBA playoffs this year, with all these superstars out, but the potential exists for you to lose a quarterback in a playoff run, and that could vastly shape how a college football playoff. I think that's going to be something that the powers that we're going to have to struggle with. Is, are we really going to ask student athletes to play 17 college football games. That seems a lot, and I don't think that the schools want to give up any of those home games.
Yeah,
they need that revenue. So I think it's something that they're going to have to, and I don't think the SEC is going to give up the SEC championship game, but because it's such a moneymaker. So on one hand, we always talk about player safety, and the first thing we got to do is watch out for the safety of the players, and now we're adding games to the season. I think that's something they're going to have to look at.
That's funny. I mean, it's funny that we're talking about them potentially playing 17 games. I remember when the thought of playing 12 games was absurd in college football. Then it was 11, then became 12, and now the potential to go to 17. I mean, it's amazing that that's where we are at now with this college football.
It really is. And listen, people say, and I get it, I understand the realities of it, that it's a television sport. Now it is, because television money is so great. You got to give the ESPN inventory for all this stuff. I get it. But what makes college football special to me, and the reason I fell in love with it, is the first time I went to a stadium on campus and saw a game. And I like the fact that it's different than the NFL. And we're just asking them to play so many games, and now we're asking them to move games off campus more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think at some point we have to, I don't know. I don't know the answer, because the money is what it is. And some of these programs have become so dependent on this television money. I don't know how you cut the regular season back, but also I look at it and say 17 college football games in one season is an awful lot for 18 to 22-year-olds.
I agree with that. I think they are going to have to find a happy medium. But now to shift, you had a chance to sit down and have an extensive conversation with Alabama Athletic Director Greg Byrne. Some very interesting tidbits found there, especially with how they had to deal with COVID. But I thought one of the other ones that really hasn't been talked about that I thought you covered in the conversation was the option that Greg Byrne could have had to be maybe a candidate as a commissioner for a couple of other prominent leagues in this landscape of college football, and for him to tell you in the interview that he did not pursue said jobs and that he wants to finish his career at Alabama, I thought was significant for the university, considering the job that I think he's done.
Yeah, I think it's a huge win for Alabama, because Greg Byrne's been groomed his entire life for this. I mean, his dad was an athletic director. He grew up in college athletics, and he's very well thought of in the profession. And so, when I heard the ACC job was open, I thought he might be a candidate there, and certainly his experience, having been up in the Pacific Northwest and then his time at Arizona as the athletic director, I thought the Pac-12 would be something he was interested in. Notice how he said, I didn't have any conversations. He just said, I didn't pursue them. Didn't mean they didn't pursue him.
Right.
That's the way you talk around some of this stuff. And I don't know that they had any serious conversations, but I know you'd be smart to talk to Greg Byrne for an opening like that. And Alabama would be certainly happy to keep him for the rest of his career, because you just look back at this past academic calendar, what Alabama's done: 4 SEC championships, football, men's basketball, softball, and gymnastics. The women's basketball team went to the NCAA tournament for the first time in over 2 decades. Rowing made the NCAA tournament. So I think the overall health of the athletic department is as good as it's been in a real long time. Mm-hmm. Because far too often Alabama, for the resources Alabama has not been competitive in some of these other sports. And that has to change, and we're starting to see it change with Greg Byrne. I think in the Directors' Cup, that standing where they rank all of the sports that you sponsor, I think Alabama's going to finish top 10 this year in the country, and possibly even top 5. So that just speaks to the health of the overall athletic department and the programs and the sports that they sponsor, and the job that Greg Byrne has done in bringing in talented people to lead those programs, including Nate Oates.
Aaron Suttles of The Athletic joining us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. I loved Greg Burns' answer to your name, image, and likeness questions on how he specifically broke down how much like each student gets at the university for they fly charter. I loved his response to that.
Yeah, I've always been of the opinion. Listen, I'm open to having a discussion, and it probably is past time to have the discussion about whether college athletes should get paid. I get that, and I'm fine having that discussion. I think there's a lot of money being made now more than ever. It's it's just natural. We see what the Supreme Court just said on that unpaid labor, this model maybe isn't sustainable. So I get that. What I've always been irked by is the fact of how quickly we gloss over how much that they're already getting.
Yeah.
Now, we can have the conversation, is it enough? And I'm not saying that they don't deserve it. But you go ask any hardworking parent who's putting their kids through college how much free college education is worth to that family. It means a lot, and it could be life-changing. And so I've always thought that we always so quickly dismiss that part of the conversation. They're already getting a lot. Do they deserve more? We could talk about that. I'm open to that. I'm not against that. But let's not just completely, bypass what they're already getting. And I thought Greg did a really good job in highlighting that. And that if you're an out-of-state student at Alabama, just in terms of tuition, Pell Grant, and anything like that, it's $30,000 a year. And then you add up all the medical care they get, the academic support that they get, the travels they get. It was $147,000 per student athlete. And so they do get a lot of benefits. There's a lot. And there's the unspoken stuff too, right? Like if you go play football at Alabama or basketball or name the sport, the networking that you get done there, you're going to come out of college with probably a pretty good opportunity to get a job that a regular student wouldn't have the same opportunity. So there's a lot of stuff that they're already getting, and I think the conversation is going to continue about should they get more. But I think it's past time that we start recognizing what they're already getting.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Aaron. And also, what are your thoughts? It looks as though, once again, I always term it chestnut checkers with Nick Saban, that they're ahead of the game with the name, image, and likeness program they put together. Your thoughts on it?
It's just leadership. I think we've talked about Greg Byrne and how professional he is. It's Nick Saban. It's all of it. They're always sort of ahead of the curve in most stuff, and especially when it comes to football. And when they're not far behind. Like, they're leading the way right now in football in terms of scheduling for the future. And you're going to see all these other Power 5 programs sort of try to do what Alabama and Georgia and some of these other programs are doing and scheduling multiple Power 5 out-of-conference games in the future, because that's where the game is headed, because now there's a playoff, and it's more about strength of resume. And so we've seen that, and then Alabama got on it with the name, image, and likeness. And I think, hats off and applause needed for the Alabama legislature to make that happen, so that they're not Kentucky right now, whose legislature can't get that passed, and they don't know what Kentucky's going to do, and they feel like it's a disadvantage to their basketball program. So the state legislature really helped Alabama and Auburn and all the state institutions out by drafting legislation and passing legislation that lays out what's allowable. Now, there'll probably be some federal legislation at some point that supersedes all this, but the fact that the state of Alabama got it done in through government, and then the fact that Alabama was already ready to roll once it did pass, it just speaks to leadership. I mean, they're very proactive in most things they do, whereas a lot of college leadership is reactive.
Yeah, that's hard to believe that in 7 days that'll go into effect. And there are states within the SEC blueprint that do not have this. And you alluded to Kentucky, that it's going to be interesting to see what John Calipari and that state does to try to compete with the others that do.
Yeah, because, listen, Alabama won the SEC regular season tournament championship. Auburn's been to a Final Four. The SEC is a much stronger basketball league, and so Kentucky can't afford to fall behind. I know they made a couple outstanding hires in their assistants, but you mentioned, like, if you're not ready to hit the road with this NIL stuff, you're behind. And so it's a tough spot for Kentucky to be in right now.
It is. And, Aaron, as we are wrapping up the last few minutes with Aaron Suttles of The Athletic talking Alabama, you did bring up Nate Oates. I know you asked the elephant in the room, no pun intended here with Alabama. Everybody wants to know about Coleman Coliseum because it has to be addressed. Certainly Greg Byrne has addressed giving 2 raises already to Nate Oates and signing him to extensions. And he's become one of the hottest coaches in the country. You just mentioned the regular season and tournament championship for Alabama men's basketball. But I know there was a shortfall due to the pandemic. But talk about the feedback you got from Greg Byrne on potential renovations and or new arena for Alabama basketball.
And was that a formality question? Did you have to just ask that one?
You have to. Anytime you talk to Greg Byrne, you got to ask the obligatory Coleman. Listen, it took a hit, right? Greg said publicly they have a $75 million shortfall $1 million shortfall from the pandemic. And so those are real dollars and cents, and those are real issues. I think for it to really get put on the fast track, for Coleman Coliseum to really get put on the fast track, they would have to have donor or donors, plural, have to specify this is how much money I'm giving, and I want it specifically to go to Coleman, and I want it to get started today. And short of that, it's just going to be a while. And I thought Greg did a really good job in highlighting the fact that it is not a competitive disadvantage for the players, because Alabama has, and most fans don't see this, but their practice facility is top-notch. It's first class.
Yes, it is.
The coaches are now, in terms of traveling and being able to go out and recruit, the travel's a lot easier. They get to use the jet. So in terms of being competitive and keeping your coach happy, there are a lot of things already that Alabama has, and that practice facility is really a big part of it. It's the game day experience, and that the fans, listen, we all been inside Coleman. It's dark. It doesn't translate great television. It's not as loud as it could be because of the way the arena's set up, because of the way the Coliseum's set up. So that's a game day experience, and fans want that rectified. And trust me, I've been in there, and it deserves, and Nate Oates and that team deserves the benefit of a real home court advantage that a renovation could do. But short of some donors stepping up to the plate and dropping a lot of money and saying, hey, we want this specifically to go to basketball, it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, but it's definitely still a priority, it sounded like. But again, you have to, due to this shortfall, deal with that, right. And you have other things that Alabama's still paying off and paying for, including this latest renovation to Bryant-Denny Stadium and, of course, the Sports Science Center as well. Well, Aaron, great job, man. It's been great to catch up with you. We hope we get a chance to see you at SEC Media Days in just a little over a month. But or less than a month actually now. But let everybody know how to connect with you and what you're working on for The Athletic. Just some great stuff.
Yeah, we got part 2 of the Greg Burns Q&A, which I'm going to break out into a story, and it specifically talks about the college football playoff and his thoughts on that being expanded. You can catch that at The Athletic, or you can follow me on Twitter at Aaron Suttles.
Aaron, we really appreciate the time. Thank you, sir.
All right, guys, take care.
Thanks, Aaron. Aaron Suttles, great stuff there on his conversation with Greg Byrne. And is Alabama good or bad for college football? Let's get a break in. When we come back, phone lines open to you as we continue the sports talk. 65 degrees on this Wednesday, beautiful Wednesday.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Just got an injury wreck with a motorcycle involved. This one's on Redstone Road right at the Arsenal Gate. And we got one on 72 at Balch Road. Sounds like that one's causing problems for traffic in all directions there. Haven't heard of an update as far as an injury on that wreck. Snelling has immediate need for experienced retail sales associates. These are direct hire positions with solid benefits. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
Hi, everybody. Eli Gold here. Right now, indoor air quality occupies top-of-mind awareness for families and business owners. Rick Smith and the trusted professionals at Environmental Comfort Systems can take care of your indoor air quality concerns with their state-of-the-art indoor air quality solutions. Environmental Comfort's indoor air quality systems remove 99.9% of airborne contaminants so you and your family can breathe clean, fresh air. If anyone in your family suffers from allergies, or if you just want the security of knowing the air you breathe inside your home is free from viruses, bacteria, pet dander, dust, and odors, Environmental Comfort Systems are the professionals to call. Environmental Comfort also carries state-of-the-art, high-efficiency comfort systems that increase home comfort, keep humidity in check, and help you save money on your energy bills. Give my friend Rick a call or visit them online at envcomfort.com and breathe cleaner air today. Environmental Comfort Systems, Alabama license number 92314.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
You know it and I know it. Sometimes a brand new car or truck just isn't in the budget. That's where we come in. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and I want to talk to you about the advantages of buying a Ford Gold certified used car or truck. These are low mileage, gently used vehicles with great warranties. A 12-month, 12,000-mile comprehensive limited warranty and a 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Woody Anderson Ford Gold certified vehicles have passed a 172-point inspection by certified technicians and come with a 24-hour roadside assistance too. You'll also get a Carfax vehicle history report and 22,000 Ford Pass reward points to use for future scheduled maintenance or other accessories. Plus, before you leave in your Gold certified used car, we'll be sure to give you a full tank of gas and a fresh oil change, even new wiper blades. Gold certified vehicles at Woody Anderson Ford. Hope to see you soon.
This is Steve Moulton from The Drive. Join us this afternoon from 5 to 7 with Wes Neighbors and me. Now back to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, 8:27 on this Wednesday morning. Welcome into Talking Ball, 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline if you want to get in on the show this morning. Lots of time to get in if you want to. We're going to have another guest coming up at 8:40 as we break down Mississippi State's big win last night in Omaha. So if you want to get in on the show right now, now is a great time to do so. And that is usually also when we have our tomorrow's headlines today. So you're going to hear the tomorrow headlines today at 8:40, but we'll go over some of those right now.
Yeah.
And that is, we have not paid attention at all, and I have not seen a lot come out of it because it's only 2 days old, and then there's 4 more days left to go. But the NBA Combine continuing to go forward at Wintrust Arena in Chicago. Sharif Cooper, JT Thor from Auburn, Herbert Jones, Josh Primo, and John Petty Jr. going through the NBA Combines up there in Chicago. Big, I guess you could say, week for John Petty Jr. as he tries to impress those NBA scouts.
Right, to cement a spot in the draft to get picked. We certainly hope that's the case. We feel strongly that Herbert Jones will be selected. John Petty certainly talented enough to be a shooter in the NBA. Got much better as a defender in 2 years under Nate Oates. Outstanding career, all-time three-point shooter in the history of Alabama basketball. All SEC, Herbert Jones, SEC Player of the Year this year, leading Alabama to that conference championship in the regular season and tournament and Sweet 16 berth. Herbert, I think, can be an outstanding defender in the NBA, a la a guy we compare him to a lot from Athens in our community, Keith Askins. So a big week for those two. And Josh Primo, Scott, because he has hired an agent, yet he can still return to school. He's trying to decide if he's going to stay in the draft or return for year 2 under Nate Oates. Personally, I think returning would be beneficial. He could move into the lottery potentially next year, but he might get a first-round guarantee after this performance at the Combine, Scott. And if he does, I would think he would stay in the draft. So an interesting few weeks. Jaden Shackelford also still mulling his options over. He did not get invited to the Combine as far as what we know.
Right.
So it would definitely behoove him to return to school and come back to the University of Alabama. He fits perfectly into that system. He's led Alabama in scoring the last 2 years and is an outstanding college guard. So we'll see what happens with those two as Nate Oates steamrolls toward a huge season. It will be year 3, and see if they can continue to build on the unprecedented success of year 2.
Sharif Cooper and JT Thor for Auburn doing it as well. We'd imagine Sharif Cooper will be a high draft pick.
Yeah, I mean
he should be a lottery pick, possibly.
Well, I don't know about lottery, but in that area, maybe if he's not in the lottery, we're talking in the teens.
Yeah,
before pick 20,
kind of like a Kyra Lewis from last year.
Yeah, I mean he has a chance to raise his stock in something like this. The thing that the big question for him, there's 2 things: his size, and then especially shot making, not his playmaking, his ball handling, his passing, even potentially defensively if he applies himself. It's just making the 3 and the perimeter shot consistently, because he can get to the rim, he can run a team. We saw the impact he had on Auburn. I know they had a losing record, but you saw how much better they got when he was in the lineup and when he was healthy. And remember, down the stretch last year, he missed the last several games, including the game in Coleman Coliseum when Buck Johnson's son Jamal Johnson had to run the point. Jamal now transferring for his final season to play for Andy Kennedy at UAB. But, I mean, we know how talented Sharif Cooper is. Should definitely be a first-round pick, no question about it. Has a skill set that's unique, and I think he can play a long time in the NBA as a point guard.
All right, so last night the NBA lottery was determined. Detroit comes away with your first overall pick.
First time they've ever won the lottery.
Followed by Houston, Cleveland, Toronto, Orlando. Those are going to be the top 5.
Now you wonder what Cleveland's going to do if potentially Mobley is off the board with pick 2, the center from USC, Evan Mobley. What are they going to do? Because they have Colin Sexton, they have Darius Garland. You've got Jalen Suggs sitting there, who is a freak of nature from Gonzaga, who's a point guard in his own right.
And they've got the guy from Auburn, too, the other
Isaac Okoro.
Isaac Okoro.
Now, and he's a great small forward wing type.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do? Are you going to trade the pick and try to get some more assets? Or are you going to think about moving a guy like Colin Sexton, who had an amazing year last year? He's one of the better young players in the NBA, but who might not be open to signing a long-term extension there. Could you try to get a return on Colin Sexton? Could Colin Sexton potentially end up in Boston, who, as we know, they already have moved on? Making that big trade just several days ago. I know we really haven't talked about it much, but they make that big move with Brad Stevens' first major trade as the director of basketball operations, moving on, and now have that point guard slot open now.
We also got to see what Golden State does, because the Warriors, believe it or not, have 2 picks in the first round.
Right.
Because they picked up Minnesota's pick, so Golden State will pick 7, and Golden State will pick 14th in the draft this year. So will Golden State hold on to 2 first-round draft picks at 7 and 14? So
it's interesting. Yep. And again, Kemba Walker, $73 million he was owed by Boston. They get out from under that contract. Are the Celtics going to try to make a big splash in free agency and basically address the point guard situation like that, or are they going to try to make a trade? Personally, I would love to see Colin Sexton in Boston and get out of Cleveland.
Well, Oklahoma City will have 3 picks in the first round.
They're stockpiling Sam Presti and the Thunder.
Yeah, and then they have 1, 2... They have 2 picks in the second round, 3 picks in the second round. So they have 6 picks in this draft as Oklahoma City right now, 3 in the first and 3 in the second.
Well, I mean, all I can say
that's unheard of, though, in the NBA draft. All right.
With Klay Thompson trying to get healthy, and with Steph Curry and that young roster that they could be assembling in Golden State, LeBron better be a little worried there. With the Lakers, and personally, I'm very happy about that.
All right, more college baseball news. Auburn has added an experienced left-hander to the starting rotation. They get Tommy Sheehan from Notre Dame. He has 35 starts, but this past year his season was kind of cut short after a partial Tommy John surgery to repair his elbow. They're hoping he can follow in the footsteps of Bailey Horn for the Tigers, who came back from the same surgery to play a key role in Auburn's College World Series run in 2019. He made 29 starts in his first 2 seasons for the Irish. He was limited to just 4 starts in the pandemic-shortened 2020 season, and he made just 2 starts this last year for 8 innings. He's 10-11 overall, 4.83 ERA, and he's ready to take a shot at the starting rotation for Auburn. So Auburn, who is projected to lose several guys from that starting rotation. Cody Greenhill, Jack Owen, likely they say Richard Fitz as well.
Fitz could be a high draft pick.
Yeah, so there's Auburn trying to bolster some starting rotation in that baseball thing. Picks up Tommy Sheehan from Notre Dame.
They do. Big addition for Butch Thompson. It's going to be interesting to see how aggressive both Alabama and Auburn are in the transfer portal, trying to add depth to their rosters, because both of them ran into a lot of injury issues this year, especially pitching, which affected Auburn not making the postseason, or Hoover, and then Alabama being one of the last 4 teams in pretty much, getting into a regional, but really having a hard time, as we noted the last 3 weekends against that gauntlet of the SEC.
It'll be interesting. We talk a lot about how the transfer portal affects college football. We talk a lot about how it affects basketball. You know, we've talked about there was 1,400 names in the college transfer portal for basketball, 1,600 or whatever in college football, guys in the transfer portal. I'm wondering how it will affect baseball. That's one of the sports that we haven't talked a lot about, is how the one-time transfer rule or that will affect college baseball. I'm wondering how it will. I'm wondering if it's going to have a huge effect in baseball.
It could be big. I mean, you saw the Sheehan addition for Auburn. It just won't be as publicized because we talked about it already. College baseball doesn't get the coverage that college basketball and football do. But I still think it could be significant depending on the way you attack it. Already seen Alabama. Looks like they're going to add a Harvard outfielder, Tommy Seidel, who really hurt them, was 5 out of 12 against them. It's hard to believe. I had to go back and check. It was actually not this season. It was during the 2020 shortened season due to the pandemic.
And that's because the Ivy League didn't do anything last year.
Yeah, and they didn't. That season got stopped, and then and then they didn't even play this season.
No, the Ivy League did nothing. No sports.
No
nothing.
Sport. They canceled everything, and so Joe got a talking point there. But anyway, they just crazy, and so. This young man's going to be a senior. He's going to be transferring to Alabama to try to win a job because Alabama's also lost a couple of guys, Will Patota into the transfer portal, and T.J. Reeves, the outfielder from Hueytown. So you lose, yet you add. So it's going to be an interesting juggling act for Alabama to see if they add more pieces as well.
All right, J.T. Thor, just got some numbers on J.T. Thor. Drew, he has a 7'3" wingspan, a 9'2" standing reach. He's almost 6'10" in shoes. Doesn't turn 19 till August.
He's another one.
That's a big,
just like Josh
big
Primo,
boy.
Who's 18 years old. These NBA scouts love these guys with that upside where they're a 10-year vet and they're 28.
That's true.
Think about that, and you're still in your prime. So we'll see how well J.T. Thor performs. He decided not to return to Auburn and turn pro. He hasn't been projected, as a first-round guy, but we'll see. He could end up being someone that's in the G League and develops into a pro.
All right, we'll go back to the college baseball talk because the Mississippi State Bulldogs listened to the old Saturday Night Live skit last night and brought more cowbell late there in Omaha as they got by Virginia. We'll break it all down coming up next.
Robbie Faulk set to join us.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck at Governor's in 12th. That one's coming in as a no injury. North Parkway, north of Maston Lake, actually in the parking lot of Lowe's. That one has an injury. Guessman Place in Fair Acres reported with injury. And we had a motorcycle involved in a wreck on Redstone Road at the Arsenal Gate. That one also reported as an injury. Don't forget they plan to take all the traffic off the interstate southbound I-65 at Huntsville Browns Ferry. They're going to run you up over the overpass to get through that one. Routine care to heart failure. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialists have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-386-9945. 800-386-9945. 800-386-9945.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121. McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
It just works. Picture this. You're at home, doing whatever it is you do. Then, pow! The power goes out. Then what? Well, at my house, life goes on. We have a Generac automatic home standby generator from Current Electrical and Generator Services. For your home security and peace of mind, get a free personal consultation on how a Generac automatic home standby generator can protect you. Current Electrical and Generator Services. Call or visit us on the web at HuntsvilleGenerators.com. You've got the power.
Hey friends, Eli Gold here for Environmental Comfort Systems. If you're concerned about the air quality inside your home, give my friend Rick Smith a call at Environmental Comfort Systems. Their indoor air quality systems remove 99.9% of indoor air contaminants. Give the trusted professionals at Environmental Comfort Systems a call or visit them online at envcomfort.com and see how comfortable you can be. Breathe cleaner air today. Environmental Comfort Systems, Alabama license number 92314.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
As we mentioned the segment before, we kind of went over some of the headlines because we wanted to give our next guest as much rest as he possibly could have because we mentioned Mississippi State needed more cowbell last night, and they provided it late in Omaha as they rallied to get by Virginia in the College World Series 6-5 to stay alive in that winner's bracket. And for most of that game last night, Virginia had the upper hand. But baseball can turn in a hurry, and it did in favor of the Bulldogs late.
It certainly did, and who better than to catch up with? He had a late night. He has a new podcast called Thunder and Lightning. Also, it's featured on the Starkville Daily, covering a lot of high school and prep athletics in Mississippi, but is a big part of Mississippi State 247sports.com, and that's Robbie Faulk. And he's been good enough to join us again on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Robbie, man, what a comeback. How are you back in Huntsville with Drew and Scott? I hope you had a great night. I know it's a late one, but we appreciate you joining us.
I appreciate you guys giving me a little bit of time to sleep in. I'm not a morning person anyway.
Right.
I'm a lazy sports writer. And sometimes we like to stay up late and get up later. So I appreciate the time off. But man, it was something special last night. Mississippi State down 4-0, getting no hits. Weren't even close to
by Griff McGarry. Yep.
Yeah, I mean they weren't even close to getting hits, and just an unbelievable turn of events. When they got into the bullpen, it just seemed like new life came through that lineup, and energy started flowing through the stadium. It just was one of the great college baseball games that you'll see, and a big reason why people say that's baseball, because anything can happen in this game, and things can turn in an instant, and that's what it did last night.
Now, talk about this from your vantage point and your viewpoint. How long did it take? I mean, I know when we cover events like this, I mean, you get wrapped up in the team, you get wrapped up in everything. How long did it take for you to kind of come down a little bit off this? Because, it can take a while.
Hasn't.
Yeah, because of what we saw last night. I mean, the Tanner Allen home runs and everything, and the way it ignited Omaha. And you're right, though. It is what makes college baseball special, especially in Omaha for the World Series. How long has it taken you to kind of come down from that?
It took a while, man. You try to get your bearings, but sometimes we try to write our stories during the game and try to get stuff prepared, but I didn't start writing my story until about 30 minutes after the game, because everything was happening so fast and everything changed so quickly. I mean, it changes as a writer, it changes everything you felt like you were going to write about. You're going through your mind what you're going to talk about in your story and how you're going to map things out. Mississippi State came out and just couldn't beat this guy who had a 6-run earned run average coming into the game, and they couldn't find a hit just a few days after getting 21 strikeouts from their pitching staff, and then all of a sudden they just score 6 runs in one inning and do all their offense in one inning, and the bullpen kind of shut things down the last 2 frames. So everything happened so quick. It takes a while to kind of get everything set. But that's why you love doing it. That's why you love covering college sports and get a chance to watch something like this transpire.
Well, and we're talking to Robbie Faulk of Mississippi State 247sports.com. We talked to your colleague Steve Robertson live from Omaha yesterday. He thought Mississippi State was at a huge advantage coming into this game, but Griff McGarry, and that's how baseball is sometimes, pitches the game of his life into the 8th inning. But then we see Rowdy Jordan, Tanner Allen. What a moment for Tanner, the guy that Madison Academy had to face and lost a state championship series to in Montgomery from Faith Academy here in our state. But he's player of the year as a senior, and what a moment, that line drive home run, that 3-run shot that just really sent shockwaves through, TV Ameritrade. I mean, to me, we'll see going forward what Mississippi State does with this run, but I started thinking to myself, this could be the biggest half inning in Mississippi State baseball history.
Yeah, it's one of those things we talked about last night. There's been some great postseason home runs for Mississippi State. Some of the ones that people talk about is Burke Masters in 1985, hitting the grand slam to beat Florida State, but that kept Mississippi State's season alive and forced the final game in a regional.
Mm-hmm.
Elijah McNamee hit the home run at Florida State, walk-off home run. That kept Mississippi State's season alive in a regional. Then he hit a walk-off against Vanderbilt. This just felt like the biggest ever. Just the moment being in the College World Series, you're down by 2 runs, to hit a 3-run homer to put your team on top and send you to Friday and give you that all-important 2-day rest and into that bracket final. I just thought that was huge. But there was not a doubt in my mind that he was going to come through with something big right there. I didn't know if it was going to be a single up the middle, a double in the gap, or what. But he was 0 for 6 or 0 for 7 coming into that in the College World Series. But there was still never a doubt in my mind that he was going to come through. He just kind of willed himself to big plays all year long, and he's one of those players that just puts the team on his back, carries them, and that's what he did. I mean, just a humongous, gigantic hit that just cemented his legacy at Mississippi State as one of the all-time greats.
We've talked a lot when you get to the College World Series or you get to this level at this point in the season. It's all about your pitching. It's all about your depth. It's about what you have in the bullpen. Going back to the Notre Dame series and even continuing into Omaha, how good. I mean, it is impressive to see the bullpen work from Mississippi State going all the way back to that Notre Dame series. I mean, they have really put this team on their shoulders in the last 4 games.
And, Scott, like we said, now Mississippi State, the all-time record for strikeouts as a staff.
Yeah, pretty incredible. And this group had some very high expectations, and I don't know if they've lived up to the expectations that they had in front of them, but they've just been solid. I mean, they haven't been incredible or, just shut down. I mean, the team ERA is not great, but it just seems like these guys just figure out how to piece it together. I mean, most teams, whenever you have your starter go an inning and a third and can't get out of the second inning, they're done. You can't piece together. And you might have a guy that throws 5 innings or 6 innings or something that does a great job, but what was so impressive about that last night is Scott Foxhall mapping out the game as it came. Preston Johnson went 2 innings. Then you bring in a guy that gets you a double play on one pitch to get you out of an inning. You bring in another guy that gets you an inning and a third. They threw 8 pitchers in the ball game, which tied a College World Series record. Nobody pitched more than 2 innings, and everybody did their job. They gave up 1 earned run or 1 run total in the entire game by the bullpen, and that was a solo home run. I thought that was I thought they were the MVP of the game because they kept the game where it was. Even when State wasn't able to do anything offensively, it was 4-0 from the second inning until the 8th inning. And that allowed Mississippi State to have that big inning in the 8th and give themselves the win. And I thought Landon Sims was great again. He didn't have his best stuff last night. Looked obviously tired after throwing 50-plus pitches 2 days ago. So, he came in and got 4 outs on 15 pitches or so. I don't know how long he could have gone. They had 2 guys in the bullpen. If they would have got a couple guys on base, they might have made a change. But gutted through that and got another save. You just can't say enough about this bullpen. It's been a great job by Scott Foxhall and those guys, too, stepping up and coming up big.
Well, and now, Robbie, that pitching depth comes into play. They're not going to play again until Friday. How does the rotation set up now and the bullpen? 2 crucial days of rest before playing again to try to win their side of the bracket and get to the finals starting on Monday.
Yeah, well, State's obviously in really good shape right now. The group now, whoever they play, either Texas or Virginia, you're probably going to be able to. They're probably going to be able to get their ace back out there. So you're going to see a really good pitcher on the other side. You're either going to see Ty Madden or you're going to see Abbott from Virginia. If I had to guess, but Mississippi State's going to throw probably the guy they feel as good as anybody going out there right now in Houston Harding, who's just been masterful down the stretch for the Bulldogs, either out of the bullpen or as a starter. And you feel like you definitely get 4 or 5 innings from him, and then you got everybody else in the bullpen. So State's in good shape going into this game, and if they do lose this game, all bets are off for both teams, I think. But State obviously has the upper hand, and if they win that ball game and they're able to reset the rotation for the championship series, this team, you're talking about a team that has a really, really good shot to bring home the first national title to Mississippi State. But Chris Lemonis and these guys are going to take it one game at a time. That's what they've done all year long, and just piece it together and find a way.
Well, and it's going to be awesome because I would love to see Christian McLeod get some redemption, have a chance to pitch again in the championship series from Huntsville High here in our community, and perhaps make history for the Bulldogs.
There's no doubt. I really want to see him get a chance to bounce back, and it feels like it was maybe a confidence issue or something for him last night. He just couldn't find his curveball, which has been so good for him. You know early if Christian's going to be able to give you a really good performance, if he's able to spot that curveball for strikes and come back with his fastball. But last night, he just couldn't find it. His control was not there. But Chris Lemonis said the same thing. He would love to have that kid get another opportunity and a chance to redeem himself. And I think he's going to. I think he's going to have another opportunity here to come out there and give Mississippi State a really good start.
Well, good stuff. And enjoy Omaha.
Yeah,
and stay up there and enjoy it. And
let us everybody know how they can follow your coverage.
Yeah, guys, you can follow me at Robbie Faulk 247. That's my main Twitter account. I have a couple of ones, but you guys might be interested if you're interested to see some MSU coverage. And Robbie Faulk 247, and you can check us out at MississippiState.247sports.com.
We got a large alumni base of the Maroon and White here in the Rocket City, so they're excited. Thank you for coming on and taking the time. I know it was a long night, but appreciate it, man. We look forward to catching up, hopefully, as they move on to the finals with a chance to win a national championship. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate you.
All right, thanks, Robbie. Robbie Faulk helping us wrap up our Wednesday edition of Talking Ball here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Really, your true home for high school football and high school sports, especially coming up this fall. So we are the true home for high school football sports.
And local sports here in the Rocket City.
Yep. 25. Well, we really don't have any time to get your phone. I was like, just out of habit. That was just out of habit. But that is going to do it for our 2 hours.
Hummus and Pita Company.
That's right. $50 worth of food there for $25. Had that for lunch yesterday. It's good. I still haven't convinced myself to try a chickpea chiller. Not there yet. But we may get there. I don't know. Maybe. But anyway, you can get that now. You can also get $50 worth of food for $25 to the Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, which is right next door to it. That begins on Friday.
Thank you to Robbie Faulk. Thank you to Aaron Suttles. What a great conversation. And support epilepsy here. No fear. Sales up. AR. Anderson Reese. Great kid. We wanted to thank everybody for joining us today. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. And we'll talk to you later this week. We got maybe a big-time conversation coming up, so be prepared.
Make sure you listen tomorrow.
Jesus tells us to go the second mile. Well, sometimes it's hard enough to go the first mile. But when the Lord is number one in our lives, we not only go the first mile, but we embrace the second mile. We can talk all we want about Jesus and how important he is to us, but we show it in the second mile. In the second mile, the world has changed. In the second mile, the difference is made. In the second mile, the lost world sees Christ in us. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. And check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Tom Luganbill here for Woody Anderson Ford. When I was in the Tennessee Valley, one of the things that impressed me the most was the quality of the people. People like Bobby White and his team at Woody Anderson Ford. And now you can experience the tremendous new service lanes and showroom at Woody Anderson Ford at Jordan and Sparkman, or just stop by for breakfast or lunch at Henry's Mustang Cafe. And in Madison, visit Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, just south of 72. Like a great college football tradition, always there, Woody Anderson Ford.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. This is what you need to know. The Suns, coming off a thrilling last-second victory in Game 2 of the NBA's Western Conference Finals over the Clippers on that DeAndre Ayton alley-oop, are hopeful that point guard Chris Paul can return for Game 3 tomorrow. This according to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski and Dave McMenamin. Paul's missed the first 2 games of the series because of the health and safety protocols. Eastern Conference Finals begin tonight for the Hawks and Bucks, 8 Eastern, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. More on the postseason when former NBA coach and player George Karl joins Greeny with Mike Greenberg in 15 minutes.
Be your own hotspot with Straight Talk's Ultimate Unlimited plan. Get 10 gigs of hotspot data for just $55 a month. All on America's largest, most dependable networks. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. Compatible device required. See straighttalk.com.
From the ESPN studios at Pier 17 in the Seaport District of New York City, this is Greeny with Mike Greenberg on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and on ESPN Plus.
Back and better than ever, Greeny presented by Progressive Insurance. George Karl, Bruce Bowen, and more on the Goodyear Hotline today. Oh, what a night. Fantastic finish in Phoenix. Sticky stuff drama. Detroit wins the biggest game of ping pong of the entire year. All that and more. Let's go.
Here we go. Go. Only one place to start.
Crowder looking, throws it alley. Oh! Ayton puts it down. He puts it down. It's over.
Mike Bryne with a call of a play that I think has a chance to live forever, because right now the Phoenix Suns look to me like a team that might go on to win the championship, and wasn't that something? The screen, the pass, the dunk, 2-0 Phoenix in what has been a pretty good Western Conference Finals so far that is going to change dramatically now one way or the other. The one way is Chris Paul. The other is Kawhi Leonard. Now, before the start of this series, I gave you Suns in 5, and I said it's because I thought Paul would come back and Kawhi would not, and I will stick with that. But give the Clippers credit. They win that series against Utah without their best player, and now they're in both of these games and certainly should have in every way won that game last night. So we're going to get into all of that with George Karl in just a few minutes, and also the draft lottery won by the Pistons. Speaking of the draft lottery, if I could just briefly, Nuno in the Google Doc. Can I make this Straight Talk brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless? I've mentioned the infamous Greeny Show Google Doc, Nuno suggesting stories to me. This is what he wrote yesterday. It's funny, as a Knicks fan, before this season, all I focused on was the draft lottery. Now I'll watch, but it won't ruin my night like it did for years when the league screwed them over and didn't give them the top pick like they deserved. That's from Nuno. And Bubba, all I can ask, Bubba, at this point, is he just doing that for the reaction? Is he just doing it for the reaction?
You know, I honestly don't think he is, because there were very, very similar things when we used to work with Will, and he just says whatever's on his mind, and it would lead to arguments. It would lead to crazy thoughts. He just throws it out there. I think this is who he is.
I don't care one way or the other. I like it. I like it a lot. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. But that is not where we begin today. We obviously begin with the spectacular dunk and all that kind of. It's a great play. It's a beautifully executed play. There were defensive mistakes. We talked about it on TV like crazy, and we will continue to talk about that here. But I have to begin by talking about instant replay. The last 90 seconds of that game last night took 33 minutes to play. Let me say that again. The last 90 seconds last night took 33 minutes to play. The last 0.9 seconds took 11 minutes to transpire. Come on. What are we doing here? I've been defending replay since the minute it began. Since the instant they started talking about instant replay, I have been a supporter, and I remain one. But please, this is not what was intended. I've given you the rule again and again. If it's that close, the call stands, move on. If you need to spend that much time looking at it, the juice is not worth the squeeze. Replay was intended to overturn hideously missed calls, egregiously missed calls, not to make the difference in microscopic inches that I grant you do decide games, but that's just life. We cannot have it stopped like this. To say there was no flow to the end of that game would be a huge insult to flowless things everywhere. Jeff Van Gundy almost lost his mind.
That never would have been able to happen without that, like you guys want to say, such a great review.
I'm not saying it's a great review. I thought it was appropriate.
No. You guys, let's just stay here till midnight and, review every play. Why is it only the last 2 minutes we want to get him?
You want to go over and get it to what is it, talking stick? They don't even have credit there. You can't get a marker to play cards in that place, man. Get it right. It's too important not to get it right.
So that's Scott Van Pelt saying we need to get it right. And I understand. Scott's not wrong. We want to get it right. But the point is, sometimes things aren't gotten wrong enough to be worth it.